Number one thing I want to talk about today is this absolutely hilarious headline and article from this website called Cron. I'm not too sure why they wrote this article. I'm assuming they wrote it specifically because someone like me would fucking read it for clicks and views. But this random fucking website decided to write this article. Joe Rogan's friends followed him to Texas. They all seem to hate it. I repeat. Joe Rogan's friends followed him to Texas and they all seem to hate it. Some random website decided to do a compilation, a roundup of all Rogan's friends and their changing verdicts of Texas now that they live there day to day. Because I've heard a bunch of people say, even younger vibes, a few other people say that Texas is great for what it is, but it's no LA. A bunch of people were saying this before Rogan did the whole big move and announced it as the new location for comedy and for free speech and for blah, 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 blah. A bunch of people on the internet, a bunch of people over there in America who know way more than I do about the country, about the lay of the land, blah, 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 were saying this guy is making it seem like Texas is like this mecca, whatever it may be, but it's not this it's not this freedom place that he kind of is proclaiming it to be. It's good. It's got its good parts, but it's not a scratch on LA. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, Joe Rogan was kind of selling it as a better version of LA, when really, even with LA's problems and shit, and maybe people not being a fan of the governor and some of the quote unquote work politics that go on there, people would still say that LA will probably be the better place to be if you're a stand-up comedian. Anyway, Rogan didn't believe that. He decided to go to Texas, and I think, for intents and purposes, probably the best thing he done. Because as much as it's been annoying for Rogan to be leaning into this right-wing grit thing he's doing now, I much prefer that he's like doing it while he's in Texas. Could you imagine how much more unbearable, how much more exhausting, how much more tiring Rogan would be to listen to if he decided to stay in LA, complained about it every day, on top of everything else he complains and whins about, right? Imagine if he never moved to Texas and he stayed in fucking LA. We'd hear him complain every fucking episode about how LA is so bad, homelessness is bad, this is bad, he hates living next to fucking regular people, comedy should be the main thing about LA, that people should be, everywhere he goes, you should have the red carpet rolled out for him. It'll be fucking unbearable. So it's a good thing that he's gone to Texas. At least he's gotten he's gotten rid of that kind of LA hate, and he's now focused mostly on where he lives. But still, some of the comedians that orbit him, some of the comedians that suck him off for his life force and for his clout, have not fared the same, because they're not Rogan. Rogan probably gets the special treatment everywhere he goes. Everywhere Rogan goes to is probably going to be paradise. But for the others around him, not so much. And I think this article kind of, delves into some of that. So let's read it quickly. It says, in 2020, Joe Rogan moved from Los Angeles to Austin after visiting and realizing he didn't have to wear a mask at a restaurant. This was like a diss. For that being the entire reason why you moved to a place is fucking insane. Taking your entire family and moving them to another state because that state that lets you not wear a mask. It's fucking insane. It's fucking insane. Upending the entire LA comedy stand-up scene, fucking other people's jobs, ripping them away from their fucking family, all because you can work in a restaurant in another state. It's fucking nuts. It's fucking nuts, but I love it. I fucking love it because it's so on point with Rogan. Rogan would probably move his entire back in the day. When Rogan was probably more balls deep in jiu-jitsu, he would probably move his entire family to another state if it meant he could be closer to fucking, I don't know, Gracie Academy or something. You know what I mean? It's fucking nuts, man, because I don't know about you guys, but some of the women I've dated in my life, I don't know, I can't even suggest restaurants to eat at without getting back chat. I can't even suggest restaurants that will probably benefit the both of us without getting some level of resistance and arguments. Whereas these guys, they have the ability to tell their wives and their daughters and their children, hey, we're moving. I know I'm in my mid-40s, but we're moving to Texas now. Why? Because I'm going with Rogan, because Rogan likes this place because they don't have to wear masks. I can't for the life of me get my head around the luck that these guys have with some of the women in their lives just ready to just do whatever. Fuck, I know I'm no Rogan, don't get me wrong, but Jesus Christ, man. Anyway, let's continue. Many of Rogan's compatriots in stand-up space followed him to Texas to be closer to his. Nah, this article's a diss. This article's a whole diss. Many of Rogan's compatriots in the stand-up space followed him to Texas to be closer to his quote-unquote anti-cancel culture comedy club. Calling my club an anti-culture comedy club is fucking insane, man. I'd be so offended if I was Rogan. Anti-cancel culture comedy club sounds like anti-comedy to me. That's what it sounds like to me. It doesn't sound like I want my club to be known as a comedy. I want them to be known as an anti-cancel culture. Like, that sounds crazy.
Powerful bunch.
Yo, big up Asada Aziz. Appreciate it, brother.
Do you like hero shoes, weather, and racists? Do you like the top 250 comic philosophers? Come to Texas, Bubba. We're patriots. Unless our blog busser. Lib.
Big up the spelling of atrocious. Big up the spelling of atrocious and big up fucking Asada Aziz. You're a fucking legend. For some, it was the desire to escape what they saw as an out of control homelessness, crime, or high tax states like New York and California. But in recent interviews, some of Rogan's pals seem to have learned that Texas isn't paradise either. Last month, comedian and podcaster and former UFC heavyweight, former UFC fighter heavyweight Brendan Schaub made comments about Austin that were widely noted by YouTubers whose whole shtick appears to be clipping and mocking podcasters. Hey, man, that's me. Schaub, who Rogan, has had on the Joe Rogan Experience multiple times, moved to Los Angeles to Austin earlier this year, but has said on his show, The Fighter and the Kid, that he misses Los Angeles. You know what's funny about everyone that's left to go to Texas? Even though we can laugh at them, and I'm really bewildered how like these middle-aged men are uprooting their entire family to essentially follow another middle-aged man around the country. At least with some of these guys, they've actually cemented a career for themselves, right? They've been able to get past at the comedy mothership. They do nights at the comedy mothership. They're attached to that scene. It's probably allowed them to tour the country now because they've become more famous. They got more money in their pocket. Maybe they got their first house. They're now married. You know, they got something from it. It's still sucking dick throat situation. It's still too much licking ass that I could never do. But at least those guys got something out of it. Brendan Schaub moved to fucking Texas, and I don't think he's even seen the whites of Rogan's eyes in person. That's how much I'm going to go far. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't even think Brendan has seen the white of Rogan's eyes since he's moved to Austin. I don't doubt they probably exchanged your text message and whatever. He's liked a comment. Rogan's sent him back a couple fucking laughing, crying, laughing emojis back on fucking Instagram. But I do not believe for one moment that Brendan has seen Rogan face to face in person IRL since he's moved to Austin, Texas. That's brutal. Because fair enough, I'm gonna take Brendan at his word. I'm gonna give him benefit of the doubt. And I don't think he moved to Texas primarily for Rogan. I think he moved to Texas primarily for financial reasons. He couldn't afford to live in LA anymore. He decided to go and live the high life out there in Texas because the money he earns in LA it's probably gonna go a long way in Texas. But there definitely was a part of him that thought, hey, if I go here too, one of the other reasons why could be because I could get back into the fold, maybe not do stand-up, just to get a little bit closer to the circle again and maybe come on the show a bit more. But since he's moved there, he probably has never seen Rogan IRL. And they live closer to each other than they did when he was in LA. That's brutal. Say what you want about Bert Kreischer and all them man that moved, or Tom Segura, all them guys that moved closer to him. At least they got something out of it. It continues. I miss my community and my routine, Brendan Schaub said in June. He recorded a conversation with fellow LA to Texas transplant who told Schaub that Austin is no LA. I just can't, for instance, right? I'm a nobody person from the fucking UK talking about this stuff from my fucking parents' basement covered in Cheeto dust, right? I'm a nobody. I know nothing about the American landscape and your states and shit. I don't know that much apart from what I've seen on the internet. But even I knew, with a couple bits of research, stuff I'm reading online, videos I've seen, that Texas wasn't LA. Even I knew that there'll be some hang-ups, there'll be some issues, there'd be some roadblocks, there'd be some difficulties trying to, when you go over there, right? And trying to kind of, you know, get your life figured out and shit. But for some reason, these guys had no understanding or belief of it. Like every time you hear Brendan and Brian talk about some issue they ran into in Texas, it's as if they're like, they discovered it to that day. Like they did no, like, I don't know about you guys, but when I go to a new place, like even this laptop I bought, right? I'm not gonna stop talking about this fucking laptop, right? Pick up the M4 MacBook Air. I must have watched 100, and I'm not even lying here. I must have watched over 100 videos reviewing this M4 MacBook Air. 100. It's just a MacBook Air. It's nothing, you know. Yes, it's got an M4 chip, but it's not that deep. But I wanted to get a better understanding of what I was going to expect when I opened the box, what I was going to expect when I powered it up, what to expect if I started to download apps, what to expect if I was going to stream on it. Like just all the things I wanted to do with the computer, I kind of ran through them. I ran through all those issues by virtue of other content creators or reading reviews. I do the same thing if I go on holiday. Oh, check out some cool places to hang out in Stockholm. Check out, like everyone does this in their own way. Maybe not to my maybe not to my mental autistic way, but people do it in various ways. I just can't for the life of me believe that these guys left LA with no research, no planning, nothing about what to expect. Like no understanding of the weather, of the traffic, of the culture, communities, like nothing. And they've got kids. I'm a person by myself. They have kids and a wife, and they did nothing, no reason, just went there on a hope and a prayer. Like truly astonishing. But like I always say, same thing goes to fucking Brendan, right? I think these guys, part of their skill, part of their talent that's kind of underrated is the ability to just like be confidently wrong about things and to just go just go for things. Like just go, you know that Brendan adage of like, I just go. It's a bit idiotic, but it does work sometimes. Like being completely ignorant and unaware of what you're doing and just doing it anyway can sometimes work out. It can sometimes work out. Schaub is far from the first. In September 2024, Tim Dillon, Los Angeles comedian who hosts Tim Dillon Show, called Austin a quote-unquote horrible city without a soul on a podcast with actor Whitney Cummings. Lured to Austin by the promise of low taxes and a new experience, Dillon quickly soured. Yo, Tim Dillon's turn on Austin, Texas was brilliant because he got pissed off the moment Rogan's first comedy club fell through. I'm sure some of you guys remember the law, but the law was that Rogan bought this comedy club in Texas that was like off, that was not on the main street. It was an old, I think, theater, and he was meant to redo that place, but that ended up falling through, and that was kind of what led to the delays. And Tim Dillon was, I think it maybe added a year onto the delay of the eventual membership opening. And Tim Dillon, of course, was looking forward to it because he's thinking of considering going to Austin, Texas. And as soon as that first delay happened, he started already to sour on Austin, Texas. He started to basically run with this troll that the comedy club was never happening. It was all one big scam. And then eventually when the membership did open and he went out there, like he completely ripped into it. It was so funny to see how quickly he would like turn sour on Austin, Texas comedy scene, and probably just the cliquey nature of it. He probably is not, you know, Tim's why I kind of like him. He's kind of like his own man. He does his own thing. He probably didn't like the fact that it became like this really, really cliquey thing very, very quickly. You can imagine how fucking lame and weird and odd it was for all those when those first transplants moved over there, who were smart, by the way. If you were part of that first cohort that went over there blindly with Rogan, you were the smart one because you got in there early. You know, you got the membership in early, you got into Rogan's circle early, you kind of paid your dues. So it paid to be early and move there, not do what Brendan and Brian Callen did, like moving over there like 4 years after, like fucking idiots. The quote, "It's a soulless city that should be burned to the ground, and everyone that lives here should be summarily executed. It's not the live music capital of America. It's free heroin addicts busking with guitars. There is zero talent here in any capacity. There's free restaurants that are good, and I've been to all of them twice." Jesus Christ. I thought Tim Dillon was about to drop in every facet there, but he said in any capacity. That's fucking brilliant summation there of Austin, Texas scene. Dillon, who moved to Austin shortly after Rogan, announced in the summer of 2021 that he would be moving back to Los Angeles. Dillon said that the COVID-19 pandemic and Rogan's 2020 decision to move to Austin, Texas made him want to change scenery, and that while he had never loved Austin, he was willing to give it a chance, even though it wasn't a world-class city. I love it. It continues here, the quote, "Yes, the taxes are better, and yes, there are benefits of not being in LA, and yes, LA is a host of problems," Dillon said on the podcast. "But I moved here because first and foremost, I said something new will be good. I was wrong." Another Rogan associate with more the direct criticism with his with his criticism of Texas. Sorry, the quote, "Texas fucking blows," comedian Shane Gillis said in the June episode of Andrew Schultz's podcast, recalling a storm that he left, the storm that left his Austin home without power for 3 days. "It's hot as fuck. The second we ran out of power, the house was 90 degrees and bugs came in immediately." The quote here, "They're on their own power grid like fucking idiots," Schultz added. Gillis, who returned to stardom after previously using an anti-Asian slur on a podcast and gave 5% Night Live, moved to New York, Austin, Texas in 2023. He said in several interviews that his move was motivated by a desire to be closer to Rogan's comedy venues and Texas' lack of state income tax. "I just wanted to move to a place where I can do stand-up during the week," he said. "Forever it's just New York and LA. Now you can do it in Nashville and in Austin." But besides learning about Austin's bizarre love affair with electrical independence, Gillis was complained about Austin's homeless population, whom he's called screaming runners. Rolled the number of emergency alerts that the state of Texas has sent out. "Texas goes wild with Amber Alerts," he said in the 2020 episode of Joe Rogan. "It's really depressing way to start your day." Yeah, imagine that. Schaub, Gillis, and Dillon are far from the only comedians not into see Rogan sees. In January, New Orleans native comedian Mark Norman called Austin's comedy scene a punchline. Norman also declared that move to Texas is over, and last summer complained about Texas weather and Austin's homeless population. The quote, "The city is at a boiling point of evil goo, just circling a dish," Norman said in 2024. "Everywhere you look, comedians, Rogan's orbits are trashing Austin, so you have to if you've had enough of California, New York transports ruining Texas, don't worry. It appears the fever may have broken." Bloody hell, absolutely eviscerating Rogan's comedy crew there. Fucking fantastic. And like I said, like, me for one, I just cannot understand why you'd want to follow a middle-aged man to another state. I just don't get it. I get it more for the guys like Derek Poston. Like guys like Derek Poston who weren't that well known prior, going out there to try and basically, because I think if you're not well known, it probably would have been a good idea to go out there, because the LA comedy scene was kind of dominated and controlled by Rogan and his kind of group of people. So if you're Derek Poston, I get it. I just don't understand the likes of Tom Segura and all those, man. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, if you don't post, it makes a lot of sense. You get in on the ground up. You basically get to start your own LA comedy store scene, but in Austin. All the clout that comes from it, you can't put a price on it. So that kind of like corniness and cringiness of like following another man could kind of be beneficial in that respect. But if you're already rich, if you're already a millionaire, if you already have a popular podcast, I just don't get it. It's just so bizarre to follow another middle-aged man to another stage. It's just like, what? And it's not as if like, I don't know, it's just a comedy club also, it's not really that deep. It'd be different if he had like a whole production thing and is doing, I don't know, it's just a comedy club really. Like, these guys get booked all over the country, sometimes all over the world. Like, is it really that important? I don't know. It's just a strange thing all in all. But it's funny to see how it's playing out, because despite Rogan being who he is, they're still complaining, which is a good thing. It shows that some of these comedians still have balls. They still have not been they've not been neutered, I guess. They're not sucking on Rogan's dick at all times. It's good to see some of them are still able to be like, you know what, I'm gonna be objective. And you know what I mean? And I'm just going to say this place is fucking terrible. I know I'm biased. I've got my issues because I'm Rogan's friend, but I'm just going to call it as I see it, because it's quite clear to everybody else that most of these guys aren't really enjoying their times out there. They're trying to make a good face of it. They're trying to put a good face on it, but they're really not enjoying it. So it's good to fucking hear. It's good to fucking see. Cool. What you guys saying in the stream chat? What you guys saying? What you guys saying in stream chat? If I was rich, I'd move to NorCal. Big up Young Black American. Big up Young God Vibes. If I was rich, I'd move to Miami. Big up Young God Vibes. Austin's full of gays and crackheads itching on the sidewalk. Big up Brian. If you're rich, move to Austin's an odd choice. You know Miami, that was where Schultz's that were there, isn't it? I forgot. Do you guys remember what was Schultz's main criticism of Miami when they moved there? I think they moved there during COVID, right? It was the same sort of thing. COVID restrictions were quite lax in Miami, so they all decided to move there. But why would they leave there? I guess because there's no real scene and you kind of feel a bit out of it. But I don't know, man. Just doing a podcast there and flying to your gigs and shit or whatever wouldn't be too shabby to me. But maybe the day-to-day life of the hustle and bustle of New York maybe trumps Miami part. Miami with the weather and shit, the beach, like all that sort of stuff. Like I'd be more into that. Because I don't know about you, but I feel like doing a podcast on this type of things, it makes you location independent. That's a weird thing about some of these stand-up comedians. They have these careers where they're basically location independent, but they seem to be very wedded to where they're located. You know, they don't want to leave there. It's very odd. I'd love it, man. I'd love to be there. Big up Dillon Roger. Don't you think it's lazy from Schaub to give comedy a second try? According to himself, he always solves out of Texas. I just think he got burned too hard, man. Dillon Roger. I just think he got, like, people underestimate just how badly he got burned from fucking stand-up comedy, because we all laugh at him because obviously he's fucking terrible at it and obviously a bit of a terrible person, but he got burned quite bad with stand-up. Like, stand-up broke his heart in many ways. Stand-up nearly broke up his family. Stand-up made him like the pariah of a entire scene. Like,
you have a gun?
Yo, big up Mrs. Studio Girl. Appreciate it, brother.
Hope all is well, Oz. Haven't caught the live the last few weeks.
Yeah, big up Mrs. Studio Girl. Yeah, if you haven't caught a live in a few weeks, it's probably been mostly because of me. I've been MIA for a while. There's been some, family issues and stuff that I've had to kind of deal with and take some time away. But I'm back now. So you should be seeing me more often. But big up Mrs. Studio Girl. Appreciate you, brother. Big up Norskin. Ram is starting TRS production again in 2026. Brendan always said last production year of Technorex. Big up Norskin. Is that true? Another thing Brendan fucking lies about, or he's just confidently wrong about. I fucking love that. Big up Norskin in the stream chat. Big up John Rogers. So funny shop with a Texas tattoo, exactly. Big up Brian for Rich moved to Austin's odd choice. Big up Two Swords, actor Whitney Cummings. Big up Young on Vibes. The same reason all the broke ass people moved here is because Drake said he loved Katie. No Drake slander on this particular stream here. Young old Vibes, keep that to Taz if you don't mind, okay? Don't follow me around with this fucking Drake slander, please. You know he's my goat. Allow it. Big up Cheers, God's favorite. Wagwan. Big up Star Disease. He hasn't seen the white of Rogan's eyes, but he's experienced some of other white from Rogan. Jesus Christ. Big up Star Disease.